that school, then legislation should be crafted to have that entity be responsible and not the larger, the traditional LEA. So that's my take as a board member on the buildings. I don't believe in one size fit all. I do know that there is a perception that the accountability is not the same. As a district, we do have a stringent application and we do try to monitor that. Uh, but in a perfect world, I think that the charters and the traditional school district would sit down and have a joint legislative agenda about some common issues, and that doesn't happen. We traditionally have legislative agendas that are at odds, and the charter has a very robust lobbying group that is able to have successes where we traditionally have not. So I'll just say a couple of other things when we talk about the ability to service low-performing students. We have a model because at the same time the state developed the iZone, the ASD, the district was allowed to develop our iZone model, our innovation zone, where we took a number of those other 85 schools because we intervened in those just as the ASD did. And we have had success. And we've had failures, and we've had struggles, and we're still struggling, but our rate of success has surpassed all other turnaround models in this state, and we're very proud of that. And so I think that one of the ingredients that's missing is the buy-in and the familiarity with the leaders of those schools. By their nature, charters come from California, come from other areas, and they are supplanted here. In our model, they're generally the local district teachers who have been a part of that community all the time, and they're familiar with the families and the structure and the needs of that community. So I think that has a strong role in what happens, but that's just my opinion. And I'm just trying to hit on some of the things that have been discussed, and I will entertain questions.
Yes. Attorney, Attorney Jones, tell me again, what role does your school board play in approving these charter schools?
When you say these, there are two types. If you're
Okay.
talking about the traditional charter, that's one process. If you're talking about the Ms.
The
Anderson, the ASD, we don't have any role in that.
Okay.
But the traditional charters submit an application. If that application is not sufficient, they're given the deficiencies, they return for a second hearing. If we turn them down on the second hearing, they're allowed to go to the state. The state has a separate agency that can and does and has approved those schools as was stated, and then we would not be in supervision of those
So
schools.
who provides the oversight for those charter schools?
It would be the State Department of Education, not the local district.
Okay, thanks.
Madam, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
You really are clear in your distinction of the ASD charters and the traditional. Do any of the traditional charter schools who get, I guess, money from the state ADA or whatever, are any of them for profit?
Not today, but it has been a legislative agenda item of various lobbying groups in the Tennessee legislature in the past, and I expect that it will, if not this year, in the near future, be on the legislative agenda again.
To
But
make
not today,
some-
no.
To make some of them for profit?
That is my understanding, but no, today, they are not. For-profit charters are not legal in Tennessee, not today.
Tennessee is really unique,
Yeah.
because there's one of the...
There's been a push, but it's not been approved by the legislature.
Because you know that's not the same in other
Right.
states. Yes, excuse me.
Thank you, and I really appreciate your comments. You mentioned the autonomy of charter schools. Is there a different standard of operation between charter and public?
Without just at a very high level, it's my understanding, yes, they have different autonomies that we do not have in terms of how they hire in terms of, now, it is true, they take the same tests and things of that nature, but operationally, we have, and I guess there are certifications, and I'm not at all clear about the level, but I don't think they have to have the same training. Now, there are certifications that everyone has to teach, but charters have certain autonomies and they get waivers to do certain things in terms of staffing, in terms of those things that we as a district, as a traditional district, do not have.
All right, so there is no true apples to apple comparables because they have more autonomy than you have less autonomy. You have a higher benchmark to meet state requirements. They
I
get
think
waivers
there is
for
a
that.
disparity in terms of the autonomy. Yes, we both get public funding, but it's not apples to apples.
Okay. Is education funding in Tennessee based on local property tax?
Yeah, the state, yes, BEP, and the county funds also through the property tax, but the state has a component also, which is the major component, and it's called the BEP, and which has never been fully funded.
Welcome to
It's a-
Mississippi. Go ahead, I'm
right.
sorry.
It's a complicated formula that the state itself has admitted is not adequate, but they fund that inadequate formula at between 65 and 72%.
Ask her what the acronym for BEP stands for. My colleague wanted to know, what does BEP stand for?
Program, yeah.
All right. Two questions that I'm still learning how to count sometime. So I heard you correctly, I think, that the public school had to take funds out of its coffers to repair a building for charter school students.
Well, it's still our building. See, when the Achievement School District takes over a school, it takes all the students. So you don't have the cherry picking, where you arguably could have in a traditional charter. They take the building. They decide if it's a building that's closed. In this case, it was not closed, but it was in desperate need of repairs. And so it was also under-enrolled. It was a building that we as a district probably would have closed and shifted those children to another district, but the ASD saw the opportunity to put a Montessori school there. And as a result, children were in conditions that were not beneficial to learning, leaking roofs, things of that nature, which were very expensive. It was a real deep dive and struggle for our board to say, I'm taking funds from other schools that are full of kids, that are over-enrolled, and we need to fix this school over here, when those children could have easily gone to a nearby school, and that money could have been used more beneficially.
All right. And my real final question now is, what is the per pupil expenditure for, and would a child leave, how much money leave with that child?
It's
Approximately.
roughly between $8,000 and $10,000, depending on, we are disadvantaged and we receive a lot of Title I funding, and so I'd say between $8,000 and $10,000, and to the tune of approximately average of 30,000 students over the last 5 years this district had lost. Again, I don't want to, we've been struggling financially as a district, and employees have suffered with no wage increases in benefits, not offering traditionally the things that the district offer its employees, and because of the financial state of the district. Part of the reason for the financial state has been the influx of charters. And the children are leaving because the money follows the child. And as I said, I don't want the takeaway to be that the only reason that there is struggle is because of charters, but it has had a definite effect. I will say this year, we're able to, as a district, look at our budgeting in a whole different light, because this is the first year in a long time that the charters decided voluntarily that they would not take over any schools. So we can plan, at least for the next year. And that's what I've advocated for. Not that you don't need charters, not that you don't need choice, but that it be done in a more systematic, thoughtful way to provide for the financial stability of all the districts, not only the Shelby County School District, but the viability of the charters and the ASD as well. And I don't think that's been taken, and we've been thrown into this atmosphere of competition, which competition, yes, it's good. But there are adverse consequences to that I think really is hurting what's best for all the kids in this community.
Okay. Thank you.
So it sounds like
That's how
even
much
more
money.
about what David said earlier, that all
10,000 per
parties
child
need to be
times
talking,
30,000.
so we can put this
lot of
together
money.
and make this work for all of our children. All right, our next presenters, and I'm gonna ask all of these guys to come up at once. Dr. Patrick Washington, Director of Promise Academy, Mr. Cardell Oren, Director of Stand for Children in Memphis, Dr. Earl Watkins, Chair of Mississippi State NAACP Education Committee, Dr. Merwin Scott, Director of Minority Community Organizing and Partnership at NEA. So I want all these guys to come and take their seats at the table. And Dr. Washington goes first. Well, you can stand, or you can have a seat as some of the previous people did, however you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Check, check. Check. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, y'all hold me. Listen, first of all, I admire you all for staying around, so I know